All right, and we're recording. So welcome everyone to the Economic Development Committee meeting for April of 2021. Guess we'll call the meeting to order. New member introductions. Let me pop up my screen real quick. Got a presentation. All right. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Great. All right, so just to go through our agenda real quick, we'll do new member introduction, approve our minutes from your last meeting, chair and vice chair elections, reports from any of our other community members, staff report, our economic development quarterly report, and then I'd love to have a discussion regarding comprehensive plan action items from our 2030 comp plan that was approved a couple months ago by the Board of Aldermen. So number one, new member introductions, that would be me. So hello everyone, my name is Anna Mitchell. I am the new Assistant City Administrator for the City of Smithville. I am your new staff liaison for the EDC. I'm excited to be part of this team, excited to take a look at your action items that you have in the comp plan, and excited to see what steps we take next and how we can work together to improve Smithville. My other portion of this was to reintroduce Kelly Kabilski, but in a new manner. She's no longer just a regular member of the EDC. She is now the Board of Aldermen liaison. She was elected to the Board of Aldermen at our last April elections. And she was nominated by the mayor and confirmed by the rest of the board as liaison to EDC at our last meeting last Tuesday. So she will be joining us in that capacity as well. And actually, before we do that, I'd like to have you all approve the minutes for the last meeting. Did anyone have anything that they'd like to change on those minutes?
I did not. I vote to approve them.
I'll second.
All right.
I approve them.
Sounds good. And all approve, say aye.
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 Gerald, you say aye as well? Oh, I think we lost Gerald. Hey, Cynthia. With that, we're no longer in a quorum.
Yeah, you can go ahead and meet and have discussions, but take no action.
Okay.
So even the minutes, you may not want to.
Correct.
I think most of the people that were at the meeting weren't there to approve them anyway. So
yeah. All right. So we will skip over items 3 and 4, chair and vice chair. So Alicia, you are still our chair. Continuing on, and as of right now, we'll have our vice chair spot open. That was held by Kelly Kabilski, but as a member, as an alderman, she is no longer able to hold that vice chair position. So we'll need someone else to fill that, and we'll address that at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Let's move on to reports. Carol?
Okay. I don't have a lot. Oh, yes, I am. I always start talking and then realize I'm on mute.
No, you're not on mute. You're good.
I don't have a lot to report. As far as the chamber, we still are gaining new members. As of from October to now, we have 8 new members. So probably fewer than we typically would, but not a lot, honestly. And some that are of note, Humphreys Bar and Grill, United Fiber, which is providing internet service to rural areas, which is kind of a big deal here in Smithville. I haven't gotten them yet, unfortunately. And let's see, Captain's Corner just joined. We did a ribbon cutting recently for Warrior Hearing Center, which is awesome. And then Wausau Homes Smithville, we also did a recent ribbon cutting for them and another insurance company. So some newer, some of the established ones, Captain's Corner, I was surprised to see joining us, but as things are opening up, I think more people are willing to get out and do a little bit more networking. And I feel like we're kind of that easily accessible to other businesses to do that. So we do have a full calendar as far as upcoming community events. We are doing our luncheons each month now. We are still limiting to about 60 as of the last time I talked to Hope at the Legions, where we're holding them currently. And hopefully we'll be able to open that up a little bit more here soon. This May luncheon, we are actually the sponsors, the chamber is sponsoring, and we're doing a kind of a mini chamber community awards. This is typically the time of year we do our awards dinner and banquet and fundraiser. But that really wasn't possible. We have over 200 people at that event. And so we didn't feel like we were going to be able to do that. So we're doing kind of a pandemic related awards dinner during the May luncheon. So if that is something you would like to nominate someone for, that link is up on the website, and that's open until the end of this week. So through Friday. And again, we're kind of looking specifically at businesses that handled the pandemic well, whether they just changed their business model, did some things differently, or there were a lot of challenges, and some had to do a lot of things differently, more so than others. So that's what we're looking at for that.
Hey, Carol.
And again, we're stacked full. I've already gotten calls for our September event, the Backyard Barbecue Bash, for barbecue teams wanting to enter that. So all good. We just had the wine walk. I know Alicia probably has all kinds of good stories to talk about that, but by and large, people are ready to get out and start doing things, especially when we can be outside and with this nice weather. That's been very helpful. So we have really tried to increase our digital advertising opportunities, and that has been somewhat successful. I will say I've also had a lot of phone calls lately about office space and businesses needing space. So I think that's all good news as things are opening up, our businesses are following, and Smithville is becoming the place to be. And so it's getting very competitive. I don't have a lot of options for people when they do call. So that's good. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Carol. Alicia, do you want to do a chair's report? Have anything to say or add for that?
Sure. We did have wine walk, sorry. It went really well. We sold 300 tickets, and then I would say we probably had another 200 people just down on the square, having a good time anyways. People loved it that it was outside, and of course they could spread out. I think we added in the Weston Tobacco Company. That was an amazing addition. People loved that. Yeah. So it was a great fundraiser for Main Street, and brought a lot of people down to spend their money at our stores. And then I think this coming Saturday is the citywide garage sale. After the next Saturday is Larson's fundraiser down on the square. That'll be amazing. And then I think the 15th is the bike race and movie night. So those should be really, really good events as well. Our Main Street group held a volunteer recruitment night meeting, and we got a lot of really great people to add to our group to help us just do things. Let's see. I think that's it, really. Other than welcome, Anna. Again, I'm really excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be with you guys.
That's all I have.
Great. Thanks. So our next item is staff report. So I'll just go through this giant list of updates for you guys. Of course, being new, I don't have a lot of background on most of these, but if you have any questions, I will most certainly get you as many answers as possible and then follow up as well if there's anything that I can't answer at the moment. So as far as an update for Smithville, a new subdivision is under construction at Commercial Street north of the high school for housing. A new phase of the Smithville Industrial Park is under construction which will include a new CDL driving school, and then a medical marijuana grow and manufacturing facility is almost complete with its design work. And then the following list is everything that's happened since 2020. Taco Bell has opened, including 2020, a small portion of it. So Taco Bell has opened, followed by Scooters. All have started or finished new structures. These have had new structures, Nottoway Valley Bank, Porter's, Ace Hardware, Price Chopper, KCI RV Storage. They have 2 buildings so far, Wired Iron Ridge, Herzog Foundation headquarters at 188th and 169 is underway. It's under construction. We drove past it earlier today and it looks exciting. Just the frames are up and there's a lot of construction happening around there. Shamrock Gas Station, I don't know if you guys seen it, but they've leveled the old one and the new one is back there and they're getting ready to open that up. Domino's Pizza is in the new strip center at the marketplace, as well as Burger King just broke ground last week, I think. So that's exciting development happening in our marketplace area. There have been 3 commercial additions / remodels that have occurred. Strip center with Donut Palace and Kyle James Forge Insurance was remodeled. The building with the medical marijuana dispensary was remodeled, and then Shoreline Fiberglass doubled the size of its building. McDonald's is remodeling inside, as did Quick Trip and the Burton's Bait building. Those were all remodeled, and apparently a new tax business opened up as well. The old Brick House building downtown was remodeled and updated with Humphrey's Bar and Grill opening. And then the building on the southwest corner of Main and Bridge Street have changed ownership and are undergoing renovation with a couple of new businesses, which includes Cornerstone, the Bike Co-op, and a few apartments upstairs. Lots of busyness happening downtown. And that's all included as well with City Hall being remodeled on the inside as well. So we have a lot of construction happening and across the street at Craig Owens, or not Craig Owens, Eric Craig's building. So Main Street, that portion has been pretty busy the last couple of weeks. So that has been exciting to see. Do you guys have any questions on those at the moment? Okay. So the next thing I want to go over is our economic development quarterly dashboard. So this is something that Nikki started that I think is a fantastic tool and a great visual to continue. I think over time, I'd love to really beef this up to make sure that we're getting good data and getting more information to you all, get you all informed on everything. So what I've done a little bit differently is I've included year-end figures as well. I realized that the last time you all met, it was still October of 2020. So I figured I would give you guys some year-end for 2020, as well as give you a year-to-date for this year so far. So for residential permits, when you look at these figures, these are the city's fiscal year. And the city's fiscal year is November to October. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. It's not a calendar year. So for residential, our year-end permits ended at 55. For comparison, the year 1819 was 39. So those have increased. And then also our year-to-date residential permits are 30. And for comparison, last year at this time, we were only at 23. For commercial permits, our year end for the 19 and 20 year, we were at 6. And then our year-to-date is 1. For comparison, the previous year for commercial was for 18-19 was 5 total for that year. And then last year at this time was 2. So we're right on track with that. We're definitely moving forward with all of our permits being issued. For special events, let me move my box of people over a little bit so I can see. So year end for 2020, and of course, this is also taking into account COVID. We had 10 events last year. And then year to date, we are currently at 10 scheduled. That's what that asterisk is for. And that's through August. So that is how many events we have on the schedule at the moment. Obviously, that can change at any time. As we move forward, sales tax, these are exciting numbers, sales tax and use tax. You'll definitely, Carol, did you have a question? Sorry.
I did real quick. For the special events, so that number, is that specifically those that have pulled a permit for the downtown?
Correct. These are city events. These are events that were in middle of downtown. These do not include events that are outside of what this city would help with. Okay, thank you for that question. For sales tax, so I also have comparison numbers here. For our year end 2019-2020, we are up 15% over the 2018-2019 year. And then year to date, we are up 8% over this time last year. So that is definitely higher than we had anticipated, which obviously we are happy to accept, and we are excited about those numbers to continue to see those increase. Use tax, you can definitely see an impact on these. We can guess all day long. My best guess is because of COVID. A lot of people have changed their ways on how they shop. So your use tax is tax that comes from your internet sales. And it's when something is brought to Smithville. So I don't live in Smithville, but I could purchase some items and have it shipped to City Hall, and those taxes would go to the city of Smithville. So any home that's in Smithville that receives anything from Amazon or any online shop would contribute to these taxes. So our year end for 2019-2020 is up 29% over the 2018-2019 year. And our year to date, we are up 48% over this time last year. And how that, if you want to know the specifics on how much money that translates, it's up about $150,000 over last year. So that is definitely impacting our budget. Again, very exciting numbers to see. And I'm very curious as things start to get back to normal, how those numbers will reflect. Is there any questions on either of those? Great. Business license renewals. So year end date for 2019-2020, we had 634. And year to date, we have 610. Those are annual renewals. So those may trickle in throughout the rest of the year. Great. Any questions over any of these boxes? Great. So moving along in the agenda, I would love to be able to start a conversation about the comprehensive plan and the action items that were laid out. I sent along a snippet of the comp plan that that specifically listed out the action items that are for the Economic Development Committee. Carol, if you don't have them, you can go to our website as well, and you can go to the 2030 comp plan, and it's on page 78. So what I'd like to do right now in the comp plan, we have 12 action items total. And these are a little generalized, and there aren't step-by-step items listed in here, but what I'd like to do is have a discussion regarding the importance, the order of importance that these action items have been put in by the comp plan, and see if we want to change that at all. And then also I'd like to identify at least a few immediate next steps that we can take to address those action items and really get the ball rolling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a spreadsheet that I've created that makes it a little bit easier to wrap your mind around the EDC items. Here we go. Can everyone see that? Okay. So these are not in order, in the same order as they are in the comp plan. What I've done is I've put all the information in this spreadsheet and started to order them based on the priority that they were given by the comp plan, as well as the time frame that they were given by the comp plan. So with that, we have 4 action items that have come up as the top high priority ongoing or high priority near term. And as we scroll down the rest of the 12, sorry, it has stopped working. Sorry, my computer just completely stopped for a second. We can reshare real quick. Let's go back to here.
That's usually my computer's job, is to stop working in the middle of things.
Yeah, I can go back to here. What I've done is I've listed out, so these are those top 4 high priority ones. So these are just items that I've identified from looking at the high priority near term items. These can absolutely change. These are items that are assigned to the EDC among many other groups within the community, like Main Street Chamber of Commerce. So obviously this is also a community effort for these items. So if we want to go through these, and what we can do is identify a couple action items. We can go one by one to see what next steps you all would like to see happen. All right, so our first one is to continue to provide small business resources such as the City Business Startup Checklist, the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce, and Main Street Programming and Assistance. From the city's point of view, we have continued this. But as far as action items, what all would you like to see happen to increase or continue? Anything additional as far as resources that you would like to see be contributed to this?
So for the Main Street program, Anna, eventually the goal is to have a full-time executive director for that program. And I think Alicia and I can both attest to the fact that it's needed. The hard part about that process right now is the amount of time and resources that are necessary to keep moving forward without a dedicated person to kind of keep those balls rolling. Is there a plan in place or to help supplement that in order to get that position established? I know I've had some conversations with Mayor Boley about that, but again, just, is there anything that's kind of in the works for that?
So currently, we have also had those conversations. We don't have a plan in place. We are continuing the current support that we are doing for Main Street. But as far as a plan, we don't have anything written down or in stone at the moment, but that is definitely something that the city is willing to sit down and have that conversation about, what that looks like, what kind of funding that takes to as we move forward. Cynthia, I noticed that you unmuted yourself. Is there anything that you'd like to contribute?
Yeah, actually, just to follow up, we are getting ready to start our budget process, or we've started it internally, and that's something that we probably should include in discussion items with the governing body and review for future funding opportunities. And what I would suggest, this is a perfect action step for the EDC to recommend in implementing some of those near-term items, that funding for a position be identified. And whether that's joint with the city and other entities or how that looks, I think we can look at how that would flesh out as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Is that something we can even do tonight since we're out of
Not
quorum?
at,
No.
yeah, no,
Right.
not at the moment, since we're not in quorum. But obviously this is something that it's not a new concept. This is something
Right.
that we can continue with conversations. And at the moment, we are planning on having monthly meetings, so we would definitely be able to address this as well at our next meeting as well.
So we're not gonna.
What
run out.
I'd, sorry to interrupt, Alicia, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was just going to say, while you can't take any formal action on it, it's obviously something that can be shared with the governing body that it was discussed.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because
Gotcha.
just for your all's information, also on May 27th, the governing body will have a board retreat,
Retreat.
which will help identify priorities for the coming year, and it helps us really hone in on those budget priorities. So I would anticipate this would come up as a discussion item anyway, and then it's good that there's been discussion of something like this in this group, whether you've formally acted on it or not.
Correct. Okay, cool.
Great. Is there anything further on this first item? And these are not in order of importance within the four of them at all. That's why I didn't number them. I want to make sure that the importance comes from you all, not from me.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
I will just say, in reference to this first action item in the small business resources, thank you for continuing that. It's fantastic, because honestly, if it wasn't there, I would think about putting something like that together. And I do get phone calls, and it's wonderful to be able to refer someone and give them the peace of mind to have a checklist for them to look at and be able to kind of,
Absolutely.
because when people are wanting to start a business, it's so daunting.
Yes.
And that isn't something that you really think about, but there are so many steps that are required to get it completely done, that is
And
very,
in a
very
certain
helpful.
order sometimes. Yes.
Right. So,
Great. Have you ever gotten any feedback on those forms? Like if they need to be updated in any way? I want to make sure that everything that we have out there for our small businesses is current and relevant.
I haven't had any, no, I have not had any feedback.
Great.
Anybody come back and say, well, I looked at that and it didn't tell me what I needed. So I would expect that if it didn't answer their questions, and I haven't. So I would take that as a good sign.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Anything else on this first item?
I don't think so.
Is there anything else that the chamber needs to be doing to support this? I mean, aside from helping support the Main Street, I don't know that there's a formal checklist of things that we do, but I feel like we've done a really good job of communicating and working together in the past few years. So just, I guess, just to make sure that, just to note that if there is something that we're lacking that we need to be doing or working together on, then I'm more than willing to do that.
Absolutely. I think you've been a fantastic partner, especially with referring small businesses and others to the city website for those checklists. And if we do have any other actions that the chamber would need to help us with, we will be reaching out. I know we've got a great relationship so far too.
Yeah.
So,
Good. Okay.
all right. If we want to move on to the next one. Encourage and attract commercial establishments that foster a vibrant Main Street to locate in Smithville's downtown. So what action items do you see needing to happen right now to get the ball rolling on that?
My take on that is I'm getting calls and I have people that
Yes.
are stacking up. They're lining up, wanting space in the downtown area. Right now, we're faced with a lack of open space. So I know there are some certain areas that are underutilized. And that maybe we need to do a little bit more, have a few more conversations with some of the building owners and maybe look at things a little bit outside the box. But we also need to, before we jump into this, we still haven't completed our business inventory and really kind of assessed everything that we do have.
Right.
So we need to complete that. We've started it. But then I feel like we just need to reach out to some of those, either those that are renting and underutilizing their spaces, or some of the building owners that aren't really utilizing them to the degree that we think that they could benefit the downtown. Really, there are several businesses or buildings that we could be using that we're not right now. They're just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, and the business inventory, is that through the Main Street?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a requirement, and it's just something that, again, like Carol said earlier, we just haven't had the manpower to really just sit down and power through it.
Yeah.
I will add too, with the building owners versus the renters and all of that. Maybe it's just me being borderline aggressive, I guess, but I'm not afraid to be a pain in the neck and a squeaky wheel about it. But I have several people who, like Carol, they contact me and say, hey, if you know of any space, I just tell them to contact the building owners, like if there are places that we know that are being rented, but maybe the tenants aren't using it, contact the building owners and make sure that they know that there's a need for it. And, if the building owner decides to maybe, I don't know, raise rent or whatever, if they know there's a high demand, not that we want rent skyrocketing, but you're going to get people out of there that are basically using it as a storage unit or just sitting on their space. So
is that type of resource something that we should take a look at adding to our small business section of our website?
building
like
owner information?
not necessarily that,
Or-
but a link saying wanting to have a business or wanting to start a business in Smithville or looking for business space. At least a contact to one specific person who has all the information once the business inventory is completed, just so you all aren't getting random phone calls.
Right.
Is that something that you'd like to take a look at including?
I think that would be great. And I think that maybe putting our dream person of the executive director of Main Street on that, because that's another thing. It's trying to make sure the businesses are a good fit for the downtown and we're not having, 3 insurance agents or 3, whatever businesses. Not that I have anything against any of those, but just to get that good variety down there and make sure we're not just duplicating everything. I think maybe having a Main Street person who's kind of aware of the need, helping to facilitate those phone calls for information would be really helpful.
Yeah. Great.
You think so too, Carol?
I agree. And I get the majority, I would say, of people that are recently that have been calling and looking for space are looking downtown. I've had several others though calling, looking for the south side of town. I would say as a whole, Smithville's lacking in really prime retail or, space. Most
Right.
of them are like a gal who's running a massage business and wellness center kind of thing.
Mhm.
She's going to want a storefront. She's going to want something that's visible, and just the nature of how the community is structured
Yes.
that it's limited.
Mhm.
So honestly, I will write as I'm driving through town. I'll notice a for rent sign, or I'll look over and say,
Yes.
oh, is there anybody in this space? And I write notes to myself. There isn't really anywhere for me to kind of there isn't like a database of that information, right?
Just
It
a-
would be nice to be able to at least help compile what we all know and kind of have it in one location. I don't really know how to do that, but
Yeah, and in having that resource online, we would just put a contact or name or anything like that. We wouldn't put specific owners online or anything like that, just to make sure that we're safe as far as confidentiality. But yeah, I can definitely write that down as an action item.
Yes.
What about you, Callie? Anything that you'd like to see as we move forward?
No.
That's fine.
I mean, I agree with everybody.
Okay. Anything else from anyone for this item? Okay. Our next item, identify appropriate industry types and priorities metrics for utilizing economic development incentives to attract key industry niches. So this is something that I will definitely be working on as part of your EDC liaison. One of my personal goals for this is to, like I said earlier, beef up that dashboard data. And that's taking a look at metrics and data that are specific to economic development. We've got our basics, we've got our baseline, and those numbers are looking fantastic for us. So what can help us move forward with all of that is to start to look at items that are more specific to economic development and those indicators that can help us make decisions moving forward. What all do you see as action items for this item?
I feel like that's so broad. It's hard for me to answer that.
I know.
And because depending on specific areas, different industry types are going to be fitted differently in different areas. So
I think what we can
What do
do
we-
for now is just get the data and figure out how to use that moving forward.
yeah. And I feel like then we would have to kind of narrow it down into, key industry niches and in key locations. I feel like
Mhm.
too would be, it would help me, because this to me is very broad and I'm having a really hard time kind of just narrowing it down and giving you any kind
Yeah.
of specific action items with it until maybe I can see the data.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that. And that's part of why I wanted to do this discussion, because a lot of these action items in the comp plan are like this,
Yes.
they're generalized. And if you read them, you can't be like, okay, so what do I do next? What are my next steps? So that will be my next step, is to get you more data. And from there, we can move forward on that item.
Perfect. And I know, like, in the comprehensive plan, and then kind of looking at, it helps me to be visual. And I think it will help to maybe be able to sit around the table and look at a map and go, okay, so here are some of the areas. For instance, I know we talked about needing hotels, or at least,
Lodging.
Airbnb, something, lodging, right? And so where does that make sense? How do we attract something like that? To what scale? And at what point are we attractive and to, enough that they're going to want to build a hotel or something like that here.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's where I go with this. And,
Yeah,
and I think I just raise more questions than I have answers.
that's fine. Great. So our next item, determine criteria for using available incentives to attract key priority industries for the options detailed in Smithville's Economic Development Programs Incentive Policy. So is a little bit similar to the previous one that we just talked about. We're going to need the data, our industry percentages, everything like that.
Mhm.
And incentives for downtown, commercial, outside of downtown, our larger buildings, brand new build or remodeling current buildings to fit whatever need a developer has. So I think both of those kind of fit into that. You'll need more data to figure out
Right.
forward.
I can at least with this one, how do we determine what are the criteria that makes them qualify for these incentives, basically, is what that's
Right.
saying. So that makes sense to me. But I feel like, we need to do that first step and determine what businesses we want to attract first before we determine the criteria for who qualifies.
Mhm.
Sounds good. So we're definitely putting our third one over our fourth one as far
I
as.
think so.
Okay. Great. And of these four, which or where would you place them in relation to each other as far as importance for you all?
Oh. I feel like the first two, the small business resources, et cetera, and Main Street are already in process.
Right.
So those are a matter of continuing and maybe pushing through like that business inventory and pushing through some of those things in order to kind of keep those going in forward. And then next is going to be, I think, so I feel like those are already in process. We need to start identifying different industry types and so forth that we want to attract to Smithville.
Yes, I agree. I like Carol said, I keep rereading those last
Yeah.
two, and I just think they're so broad that they're almost similar to where I can't figure out which is more important than the other, because they're
They're
to
hand in hand.
me development incentives and then incentives to attract key priority industries. Like it's, yeah.
So the way I look at it is, the one is, who do we want to come to Smithville? Figuring that out. And then B, who are we going to give? How do we say who gets incentives?
Right.
Am I right? Anna, is that am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, that third one is definitely more of what industry do we already have,
Mhm.
and what industry do we need to attract to Smithville to diversify what we already have, to make sure that the resources that are coming back from those businesses are diversified, making sure that we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket.
Right.
And the second one is using those industries to kind of give us a good idea of what incentives are most attractive to businesses. But we also want to make sure that when we do have incentives available, that those are for the businesses who are in the most need, as well as those pieces of land or buildings that definitely need that upkeep or that update as well. So yeah. Great. All right. Is there anything else on these four that you guys would like to discuss? Thank you for that discussion. I've got at least one action item that we can either move forward on right now or have future meetings about to make sure we have a plan on how to move forward. So at least have one of those for each of these four. That is very helpful as far as next steps for what I need to do to bring you more information as well.
Good.
All right, future meetings. So talking with Alicia, just so we keep the ball rolling on these items, we'd like to move to monthly meetings for now. I'd like to reserve the right to change that in the future if we feel that we don't need to meet as often, but especially with me being new and getting comfortable with Smithville, I think monthly meetings would be a good idea to continue with. Also, for the time being, they will continue to be on Zoom. I'd love to be able to meet in our City Hall boardroom, but currently with City Hall being under construction, we do not have access to that yet. So I'm thinking July, pending any construction delays, should be our first in-person meeting at City Hall boardroom. But for May and June, let's reserve those for Zoom meetings as well.
Sure.
And I believe that's it. And you don't have to motion to adjourn since we're not in a quorum, so we're good. Any questions or for me that I can answer?
I don't think so.
Go ahead, Callie.
No, I was just saying, I don't have any questions.
How are you feeling about everything? Is your head exploding, or are you feeling like you're starting to calm down and feel like you can actually apply what you've learned and move forward?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm definitely not going to explode. The action items are incredibly helpful because just like you, the general action items that are in the comp plan are a little confusing to me just because I wasn't here during that process. So it's really nice to be able to have full conversations about those to make sure that I get a little bit of background from you all, what your thought process is, what your thought process on importance of these items are. And it's nice to have a few of those action items things that I can do to help move forward. So
Yeah.
this has been highly beneficial for me. I really appreciate the good discussion that we had.
Well, hopefully we can have, I feel like we need a few more voices.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And I mean, girl power, right? I'm all for it, but I think it will be helpful to have some more diverse conversations and expertise from other areas to kind of really push through. And I do feel like it would be helpful to have some of the visuals from the comp plan. That's on me. I need to just print it and have it in front of me and maybe make some notes ahead of time. Now that I know kind of the specific areas that we're looking at.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that I can have some, I can think about it ahead of time and kind of have some things to discuss. But yeah, it's very broad. And I know that's the point, but it does make it very difficult to specifically act on.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well, and we do have, so Anna and I have an application for a new EDC member that we need to review. So that will help too.
Oh, good.
It's a gentleman. It sounds like he's got a lot of really good experience
Yes.
with business and things. So hopefully we'll have time to get to talk to him and get
That'll
rolling.
be really nice with Dan Hartman and Kelly Kabilski both being elected to the Board of Aldermen. That leaves 2 open slots in our committee. So hopefully with this new application that just came in, we'll have just 1 open slot. So if you all know of anyone who's interested in being on the committee, please send them my way and I'll be sure to help.
Awesome.
So is that application on the website for the EDC?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So if you go to the website, somewhere on there, it says volunteer or
Mhm.
committee, and it's just a fillable form on a web page, and it'll auto send to my email.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you,
and
Anna.
I hope you have a great evening.
Thanks, Anna. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.